Creative Youth Studio Season 2, Episode 11. We're so excited to have you. We have a great show planned. Today we are going to be exploring the ins and outs of finances in the fine arts. I'm so excited for this episode. I'm really eager just to learn more about how to stay financially stable and comfortable within working with fine arts. Especially as a soon-to-be college student, I'm personally so excited for this episode.
I definitely have to agree with you there, Jada. As a college student myself, I am super in need of any and all advice that I can get from the guest this episode. So speaking of the guest this episode, the first interview of today will be with our host, Emily, and a guest artist, Kevyn Fernandez.
And right after that, we will have Katrina interviewing Kim Heil, who is a producer and casting director.
First up, Emily and Kevyn, take it away.
Hey, Kevyn, it's great to see you again. For those who are in the audience, we actually went to the same high school and we're in the same theater program for a little bit of time. But we never got to know each other super well. So please tell me and the audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm Kevyn Fernandez. I started in theater as sound design. I joined in my junior year of high school, ended up falling in love with it. And my senior year, I decided to continue that pursuit in theater. So I decided to go to community college, and I've helped around places all over San Diego, from Jolla Playhouse to other smaller community theaters, and working wherever I can. Right now, I'm also taking a lot of classes in writing and starting to grow that skill in terms of as a young creative.
That's really exciting. Yeah. So you were originally going to pursue science, is that correct?
Yeah, in high school, I remember taking biology and realizing I'm very good at this. And so I asked my biology teacher, how do I get into your honors physiology and anatomy class? And she told me which classes to take, and I did the whole path, and then I finally took her class. I really liked it. And I remember saying, since I started high school, I want to be a doctor, and then I didn't know what. And then in the physiology class, it was a hip replacement surgeon looks really cool, especially after seeing one live in person. And at the end of my whole high school, I was accepted to places under STEM to be a doctor under a bio degree, but realized that theater was the main way to go for me. And so I decided to tell all of them no, which shocked my parents, and then go into community college instead.
Was it hard making that choice to go and pursue arts when science is more of a stable career financially?
Oh yeah, everyone kind of looked at me like I was crazy, who didn't really know me. They were why would you do that? Doctors make over $100,000 a year. And the other thing about going into the whole STEM path is it's already lined up for you. It's very easy. You go to university, you do the 4 years under biology, chemistry, or biotech, or whatever it may be, something bio. Mm-hmm. And then you do the medical school, and then you intern, and then you're a doctor. It's very lined up. It's very neat. Theater is something that's you can start from anywhere. And as long as you work hard and get to know people, then you can still succeed in theater no matter what. Yeah. I was thinking about how theater has been here for a whole bunch of 100 years. And we're still doing plays by Shakespeare, mm-hmm. and still finding new themes from it and changing it. Oklahoma was done in the 1950s, and then there was recently a Broadway revival, and it still won Tony for Best Musical, I think. And it had a different director, and it told a different type of story. And that's what I liked about theater, is how much it's changing and how much it continues to change. Right now I see some theaters really incorporating projection And so like now projection design looks like a brand new type of job and skill to be able to do in theater, which I find very interesting, because back then we didn't have projections. It would just be lights and gobos, and that's about it. And like with technology like changing, so does theater. Doing theater, like incorporating the audience into it and a bunch of other different aspects. It's just like I knew that theater would make every day different. And not only that, but like it being the same show, but the next day the show is completely different because either something went wrong and it made it a very iconic moment or a very scary moment. But like I find that so like thrilling and exciting. Like one time I had the lights black out on us in the middle of like act 2. And the audience like loved it even more somehow. But like that was a lot of fun. And so like that's what really made me choose theater, was the happiness aspect.
Do you think the fact that like there is so many things changing all the time kind of almost eases that financial worry, because you're not necessarily stuck? Like if you can have a bunch of different skill sets, there are many jobs.
Oh yeah, if you're a very well-rounded person in terms of like skills when it comes to anything in theater, there's so many jobs out there. There's some people who are only in charge of wigs, like specifically, and that's technically under like the umbrella of, it could be under the umbrella of like makeup department, but it could also be under the umbrella of props, depending on how the wig is used. Like there's not just acting on stage, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There's the people who do the props. There's people who like work specifically on just the furniture with the sets people. There's welding. If like you really want to get good at welding, there's woodworking, there's painting. The head of props at Jolla Playhouse, Debbie, is like the most fascinating person, because like they had to study how like the ratio between humans to squirrels works, and they had to like figure out like how big acorns would have to be, and like that's her job. And if you like math and like financing, you could work in finances under the like office department of like the theater part of like certain theaters. I talked to a guy in finances and he's like, oh, I love finances, but like I didn't want to like do it in a bank, and like because I found that boring. But like when I do it in a theater, I have to figure out, okay, how much are these puppets going to cost us to like maintain and stuff like that. And so as long as like you know a lot in a couple of things, whether it's marketing or like even graphic design, which falls under the umbrella of marketing. TikTok is another thing. I helped out Jolla Playhouse recently with their TikTok account, and I wrote them like a paper on like what things they can do to like help bring that like more alive. That's like something that you could also do with theater. So knowing that there's a multitude of jobs and like that pay well, and like there's also a bunch of like support, like IATSE, which is the union that helps some technical theater people, it really helps you realize like, oh, I can like make a living and be stable and be safe doing this, which is very helpful, and like for sure.
Do you have any advice for other young people that are just starting out their professional lives in art?
Yeah, go out there and talk to people. Like networking is huge in theater. And the other thing about theater is it's such a small community that like if you know someone here in San Diego who's a part of like either a small community theater to like a big regional theater, they know people all the way in New York. They know people in Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, all of these different places because of how small theater is. And as long as you're a really good human being, that's another plus, because if you're a bad human being and like a jerk, then no one's gonna hire you. Then like as long as you're a good human being and talk to people and get to really know this community, then everything is going to work out at the end, and you'll have jobs for what you like to do in theater. And also don't be afraid to try new things in theater. Like if you call yourself specifically one thing, then you get stuck there, and the more you can learn, then the better help you become. If you're a sound person that happens to know how like lighting works or like the pulley system or a bunch of other things, then when that person isn't there and the director needs something moved, you become that much more valuable because you know how to do it. And so like, don't be scared to learn at least a little bit of everything, just in case the help is needed. And like, you can put yourself out there, and then they're gonna be like, wow, this guy's great, or this gal's great, or human is great. And you'll be like talked about in other places. And then, like I said, more jobs will start rolling in. And yeah.
So do you think that that concern of like you're going to be a starving artist forever, you'll never find work, is unfound?
There's a lot of like, I don't know, romanticism in the whole starving artist thing. I feel like that's not true. Back then, maybe. I feel like back then starving artists were definitely a thing because of what weren't to their disposal. Because right now you can be an artist and showcase it on a like your phone, whether no matter what it is, or you can have like a good idea and like practice whatever you want to do on there. I wanted to practice my sound designing a little more. So, but with the pandemic happening, I wasn't able to do that in theaters that much anymore. So me and a friend started a podcast, and we did a couple episodes. And with that, I was able to practice my sound designing, and we were able to grow an audience. And so from there, you can get revenue. You can start a lot of things where you don't become a starving artist as long as you really set the work, you set some goals, and you'll also get like help along the way. Whether like, oh, like all of this costs money, but at the end of the day, if you like get a job, because you have to start with a job at least, whether it's Starbucks or whatever, save a portion of that money and like use it for whatever creative idea you have, and then just keep on pushing that. And then soon enough, you'll get like real roles coming in. Some of them will be like labeled volunteers, but you'll get stipends, and it'll like slowly grow. I remember like my first job, I got paid like $20. And like now I think I make about 500 per show. And it was slowly growing, but then the pandemic happened again. But like as long as you keep on practicing and keeping like that skill going up, and then using some of that money as well to like enhance your work, whether it's like a microphone or like a little bit a camera. Your phone is honestly perfect as well. Like it has the best camera in the world. Then you can do a lot of things out there and not really be a starving artist, but just a growing one.
I think that's a great way to think about it. Like you're not like a starving doomed artist, like but just someone who's growing their skill sets, which I think is how pretty much all job fields work. I think there's just like more emphasis on the fact that since there's not like a strict path to follow, it looks very different for theater artists in particular.
Which is what makes it exciting, is that there isn't one path to follow. Like if you go to college, it's great for networking. If you can go to college and like you can afford it and all of these things and it won't hurt you that badly, then by all means go ahead. I know there's some artists out there who just can't do it, and it's difficult and it's hard for them, which sucks. And I feel you, because I've met those artists in community college where I've seen so many like talented people who would thrive in a university, I would say, space, because they go to community college. I'm not gonna say that, but they're like super talented, but they can't, use their resources for that, and so they use other methods to grow in that sphere and space around San Diego. And soon enough, they start growing even more, which I think is fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think this is going to be really informative for our young artists out there.
Hello, my name is Katrina, as always, and today I'm going to be interviewing associate producer and casting director Kim Heil, who is also my mom. So, Kim, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Katrina. I am currently the associate producer and casting director at San Diego Repertory Theater. I am also the founder and CEO of The Nuance, which is my project to dispel the myth of the starving artist. And I exist primarily on Instagram, where I interview artists about their financial lives.
Great. So, the financial aspect of theater is a topic that I definitely hadn't heard about until you started exploring it more. So what got you into this topic in the first place?
Well, what I realized when I talked to people, and particularly young people, people who are aspiring actors or aspiring theater workers, is that especially young people of color are often not encouraged to pursue the arts because they're told that they're not going to make any money, that they're going to struggle, that it is a field that is highly unstable, and therefore they should avoid it and pursue a field that is much more lucrative, much more stable. And one of the consequences of that narrative is that we don't have as healthy a representation in the field of theater of BIPOC workers. Mm-hmm. So I just identified this one pipeline problem, which is how I see it, is that young, eager, talented BIPOC people who would otherwise be very passionate about pursuing the arts are essentially told not to. And I wanted to flip that script. I wanted to be able to say to those young people, actually, you can make a living in the arts. You just have to educate yourself and know a few things when you're going in so that you're prepared for the financial realities of this industry. And so I didn't know exactly how to do that. I found that what I loved to do was talk to artists. So about a year ago, I thought, what if I just talk to artists on Instagram, because it was such an easy platform, about their financial lives and about the decisions they've made and how they made their careers work. And so I started literally a year ago, like in maybe mid-May is when I think I did my first interview. And then I've had almost 50 artists on since. And I also started a website where I blog and share some resources, some really helpful resources, actually. And my target audience really is young artists who want to pursue the arts and are afraid to because of this narrative of the starving artist. And what I want to share with them is a series of different ways to tackle this career through these experiences that these artists are sharing in the interviews, and also through some of the resources that I'm sharing on my website and on my blog. So essentially what I really want to be is just helpful to a whole generation of young people, and particularly young BIPOC artists and theater workers, in a way that allows them to pursue what they want to do.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What is the myth of the starting artist, and how you want to eliminate it, I guess?
Yeah. You basically said it. People gave you, probably raised eyebrows when you were a kid, when you were younger, and you were like, I want to be an actor. I'm sure even like the most well-meaning, well-intentioned people gave you like a look and said, well, that's not really a very smart thing to do if you want to be able to support yourself. The truth is, and I think this is one of the privileges of having been in this field for over 20 years now, I know people who have made money doing this. And no one's getting like, super, super rich, but we're talking about the kind of life that, that we hopefully aspire to have as adults, where we can support our children, we can pay our bills, we can own homes, own cars, have minimal to little debt, pay off our student loans, all of those things that seem, at least with this starving artist myth, that seem out of reach. But I've seen people who can do it and are doing it. We're doing it in our own family. And so I just really, want to tell people who say that over and over again, well, actors, they don't make money, or artists, oh, you don't want to be an artist because you're not going to be able to support yourself. I want to be able to show those people the truth, which is that, yes, you can. Yes, a person can absolutely make a living and thrive in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. You mentioned you interview artists on the Nuance. What are some of like the different varieties of artists, not just in theater, but beyond, that you've interviewed?
Yeah, I tried to get us, I really wanted to have a broad representation of artistic fields and industries and disciplines. So I even have a makeup artist. I interviewed a makeup artist. I interviewed a game designer. I interview multimedia artists and visual artists. I interviewed a TV show writer, and poets. And so I feel like I've tackled beyond just the theater industry. And, a lot of them I'm connected to because of theater. So in one way or another, I worked with them, or I got connected to them through the theater. But a lot of them, the vast majority of their work might be independent of the theater industry. So, they may occasionally work for the theater, but really mostly they work maybe in TV and film, or they're freelance artists. But, I have people also on the Nuance who have other jobs. Like I interviewed this woman, Dilcia, who is a multimedia artist, but she has a day job where she sells insurance. But that was her choice. She wanted to be able to make the kind of art that wouldn't be tied to sort of the, the necessity of having to make money from art. So she decided, I'm gonna have a job that will support me, so then I can make whatever art I want. And so that's the decision she made, and that's how she was able to do it. And she's perfectly happy. There are many, many ways to pursue this. If you want to be an artist, there isn't one way to do it.
Yeah. And that's great. I mean, I also, when I think about people who want to go into the arts, I automatically assume if you want to go into the arts, that is going to be your main, source of income. Yeah. But it's nice that you're diving into different, different types of people who want different types of things. So what are some resources beyond your own platform for people who want to learn more about the financial aspect of theater, or, even actually that's about it. Yeah. Anyone who wants to learn more about this.
So I would start with an organization called the Actors Fund, which is a nonprofit organization that does serve the broader acting community and theater community. But they offer classes, and they offer financial literacy classes that, at least during COVID, were free. And so just Google the Actors Fund and you can sign up for one of their classes. And they have budgeting classes, investing classes, savings classes, again, these are like basic foundational courses. I also there are a lot of books and a lot of financial literacy, personal finance writers and bloggers. And I have my favorites who I follow through social media or I listen to their podcasts. And if you go to my website, thenuance2020.com, and go to my blog, I actually list a bunch of them. I actually use Ligaya. It's my proxy for resources for artists. Whenever you see her on a blog, it means that she's there to help artists out. So all of my blog entries that have her as the cover means that blog entry has information about where to find information. And so I actually I link a few of my favorite bloggers, my favorite finance educators. They're all on there. And there are a few of them that offer individual classes also, like Jamila Souffrant of Journey to Launch is a favorite. Chelsea Brennan of Mamas Talk Money, although she targets parents, so maybe not so much young people. Hey Berna Anat is a Filipina American who teaches personal finance courses. I mean, these women are amazing. So really, look them up on my blog or just Google them. They're just really great resources. Stephanie O'Connell is another one. And I love Stephanie because she comes from the theater world. So she totally understands what artists, and particularly theater artists, go through.
Thank you so much, Kim. That was great.
Thanks, Katrina.
And thank you so much. And I will toss this back to our hosts.
Thank you so much, Emily and Katrina. Those were great interviews. And our guests were super insightful. At least that's how I felt, in my opinion. And I hope that all you viewers out there really enjoyed yourselves and learned a lot.
Before we go, we wanted to let you know about a little opportunity here in the community called Against the Grain Productions. They are offering a $1,000 scholarship for tuition and school fees for Asian American college students pursuing the majors in performing arts, visual arts, journalism, and/or mass communications.
Yes, I can say firsthand that grants and scholarships are going to be your best friends throughout your college career. So if you qualify, definitely do not pass this opportunity up. For more information, please go to againstthegrainproductions.com.
Yes, if you're eligible, please apply. Another opportunity that is also available is the 37th Annual California Youth Playwrights Contest. In this contest, you must write a play and submit it to a panel of professional judges who will then evaluate your entry. If you are one of the winners, you will receive a full production of your work.
Ooh, for more information on this contest, visit playwrightsproject.org.
Yes, I totally recommend, and if you don't want to submit, please go. It is amazing, and it really sparked my theater interest, and I love seeing it every year.
Make sure to come back for episode 12, where we have a special musical surprise lined up for you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
This has been Imahni.
And Jada.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week. Goodbye.